What's up, guys? Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in and listening to me talk about these workouts. If you find value in them, information is in the description to support me. Okay? Any feedback? Let me know. We're going to break down Saturday, August 9th. This will repeat Sunday, August 24th. It's an ESP 30-30 day. As always, we'll talk about the 2G and then break down the 3G. The key concepts for today on the treads, we're going to see 3 blocks, 3 focuses. Build endurance with longer pushes, develop strength on a hill, and tap into power with short, intense all-outs. The rower, repeat 100-meter push rows to wrap up the second block. And then on the floor, we're going to start with control and stability, layer on load, and finish with explosive power movements. Okay. On the tread side for marathon month, we're going to see 23 minutes of tread time to collect distance. Not necessarily any clear screen stuff. Just make sure people still log in at the start of block 1 or they clear out the screen when you launch them into that first push of block 1. So we're going to see 3 blocks. Block 1, 7.5 minutes, endurance, 90-second recovery. Block 2 is a 5-minute block with a 90-second recovery. And then block 3, 7.5-minute block, and then they're done. Block 1 is endurance. We're going to alternate between a push and base. In total, they're going to see 3 rounds of the combo with a bonus push at the end. The goal is to maintain the intensity as it gets longer. The base will always be 1 minute. Push will start at 45 seconds. Eventually, the longest push will be 90 seconds. So there's 2 trains of thoughts here. Can they be aggressive and hold on to that? Can they start a conservative and be confident in maintaining that as well? Power walkers, 8% or greater. And of course, whatever incline they use, try to keep using it as the duration gets longer. There's no true call out in terms of base when it comes to the goal, but the priority is maintaining that push. So if they need to pull back on that base, they can pull back slightly. But either way, heart rate should stay elevated because as the work gets longer, recovery is the same, so the heart rate won't drop as much. Okay, 45, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. 75 push, 1 minute base, 90 push, and then they are done. Because of the minimal amount of recovery, that last 90-second push, it may start to approach like that high orange, almost all out, very uncomfortable feeling during like the last 10, 15 seconds. In block 2, the strength focus block, it's only 5 minutes of incline work. They're going to start at a 9% incline. And then you time them every minute, they take away 1% or 2%. So they'll start at 9. At the 1 minute mark, they go down to 7, and then 5, and then 3, and then take it down to flat road. Super fun. Okay. As a lower incline, can they increase their speed? So maybe they start well below their base, and then every minute they're going to drop the incline by 2. So can they add, 0.2 to maybe 0.6 to compensate for that incline change so the effort stays about the same? For the bikes and striders, they recommend starting at about 5 gears over base, so push to almost a push all out, and then every minute drop a gear by 1. Okay. The idea here is coaching to the why because we want them to immediately challenge that posterior chain with that high incline, glutes, hamstrings, calves, drive heart rate response up, and then as they fatigue but they're losing the incline, can they quicken their step and increase their speed? Okay. So it goes from the leg work more towards capacity of the lungs, so cardiovascular. The third and final block is power. They're going to build with a 1 minute base to start and then a 30-second all out. They have 2 minutes to recover, get back to base when they're ready, and then they have a 30-second all out with a 3-minute walk, get back to base when they're ready. And then they have a bonus all out at the very end. Okay, very long recoveries. So this is an opportunity to coach to heart rate response. So when they hit that all out, it'll keep climbing. When they start to see it drop down, that recovery process has started. So when they maybe tap into green, get back to base. If they could breathe normally, get back to base. Or maybe they just set a time domain of like, hey, I'm only going to walk 30, 45 seconds no matter what, and then get back to work. Okay. Of course, if they take the entire 2 minutes, they should definitely be able to increase their all out. Otherwise, we want to see them maintain. And that's going to be the tread side. Now, the weight floor is just 2 blocks. The first block is 7.5 minutes, 90-second recovery. And then the second block is a longer 3-part block where you are going to have to swipe through the VVA. Okay, so block 1, we're going to see a circuit of stability work. We're going to see the lateral step down toe tap. You'll do 8 on one leg, 8 on the other. That is body weight. They'll start on top of the bench. They lower their foot. Imagine like they're dipping their toe into the water of a swimming pool and then right back up. If they put too much weight, they're obviously going to fall into the pool. Second movement is that newer exercise on the strap, the lat pull down. So we want them to start with the arms extended, bicep by the ear. We're driving the elbows down towards the hips as they pull themselves up towards the wall and then right back down. What we want to see from the side profile is from where that strap is connected through their hips is a straight line. Okay, so if they're holding it like this, we want them to drop their chest and really lean forward into it and actually try to push their butt back. Okay, I find it very helpful to dig their heels into the floor and actually lift up their toes and have the soles of their feet off the floor when they're all the way down. As they pull up, they may rock and then have a flat foot position and then rock back. Okay. They have 12 reps there. Of course, if they can't go overhead, great opportunity for a strap low row instead, but then they hit the resisted torso rotation. Always a fun one. So that's the one where they're going to start extended facing to one side. They're going to lower down and then pull back up, trying to engage the obliques. They'll have 8 on each side. As far as options for that one, with the lat pull down, you could do low rows, but you could also do a Y raise for the resisted rotation. Could they do a single arm reach to rotate or body weight seated torso rotation? It's all about priming the hips and the shoulders. And I was not moving, so the light went off. 1 second. There we go. Okay. 7.5 minutes, definitely 2 or 3 rounds in. Now, the second block gets a little confusing because the treads have 2 blocks during this and the weight floor only has 1 block. The first part is the first 6.5 minutes. So when you launch the treads for block 2 and then hit the walk recovery, that considers part 1. So when you launch the treads for their 1-minute base in block 3, that ends part 1 and you'll swipe the screen over. For the strength focus of part 1 of block 2, we're going to do some strength work. We're going to see 8 reps for movements. We're going to have an alternating step out deadlift and then a seated Arnold press for 8 reps and then bench seated torso rotation for 8 total. Dumbbell work here, so try to go heavy. With that step out deadlift, obviously start with their feet close. They step out so their feet are just about hip width apart before they drive those hips back. They could keep their feet where they are, or if the hinging bothers their lower back, work on mechanics by doing a good morning so it keeps the weight closer to the center of mass. So it's easier for them to feel that hip drive back so they could feel the stretch in the hamstrings and load up the glutes rather than lean forward and stress the lower back. They'll do that for the first 6.5 minutes, probably 2, maybe 3 rounds in. When you launch the treads for that 1-minute base, swipe the VVA. Now weight floor goes into the second part, skier swing, so power-based hinge movement paired up with a speed skater with power, so a quick lateral bound left to right. For that skier swing, of course, you could do body weight dumbbell bridge or a tempo dumbbell deadlift. For the speed skater with power, they could do a lateral lunge with an explosive tempo. So go down slow, drive up fast, and then hit the other side. For that portion, they'll have only 4 minutes, but ideally explosiveness, they need to rest, so maybe only 2 rounds. Okay. During the third block of the treadmills, after the second all out, and they have the 3-minute walk recovery, after the first minute of the walk recovery, that ends the second part of block 2 for the weight floor. So when there's 2 minutes left of the walk recovery, you'll swipe over and then you'll go into this last portion. The last portion, they're going to have just about 3.5 minutes here. And they're going to see a 100-meter push row rack and rest style. Okay. Because the work is a push, they might not need that recovery, but we want to encourage that recovery so they can maintain the strength work and the intention behind that push. So a good metric for this one, definitely use the water as a guide. So after they finish the 100 meters, rack up the handles. Probably because it's a push and not an all out, you may see people take about 20 to 30 seconds. The water is going to spin for another 15 to 20, 30 seconds. so equal work to recovery, so they can maintain the intensity there. Their finisher will be a 30-second all-out row when the treads hit the last all-out. All right. Now, when we look at the 3G, we're going to see 3 blocks on the treads, 3 blocks on the weight floor, 1 long block on 3 blocks on the rower, 1 long block on the weight floor. Okay. On the treads, we're going to see 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and 15 seconds for your blocks with a 1-minute recovery after each block. Block 1 with endurance, they're going to alternate between push and base. Still 3 rounds of a push-base combo with an extra push at the end. We're going to start with a 30-second push. Base is only 30 seconds in the 3G. And then 45, 1 minute, and the last push is 75 seconds. Okay, so they only have 90 seconds of active recovery, which means there's 3.5 minutes of tough work. So lower base as needed to make sure heart rate trends downward and maintain the intensity of the push as it gets longer. Block 2 is a 3-minute tread. They'll start at 7%, drop down to 5, drop down to 3, and then they are done. Same thing as the 2G, start well below their base, at most maybe base, every minute, drop the incline. By 2, can they increase their speed? Okay, and I lied, it's every 45 seconds, not every minute. So they'll still get back down to flat road, so 7, 5, 3, and then 1. Final block, all out walk recoveries. The first walk recovery is 75 seconds, get back to base when they're ready. Last all out is 90 seconds. 3 all outs though. When we move into the next part of the rower, we're going to see 3 rounds there. Block 1, it's going to be a 400-meter base row, 24 to 28 strokes per minute, followed by a Y-bell squat to front raise, keeping that belly button in, extending the arms out, back down, 8 reps. And the goal is to maintain the intensity, so just keep repeating, try to finish their time in the same time. Block 2 is a 200-meter push row, and then the same movement, squat to front raise. So now the stroke rate's lower because it's strength focus, 20 to 24. The last one is a 100-meter all-out row, 28 to 32 strokes per minute. Okay, so we're cutting down the distances, but we're also increasing the stroke rate. So every row should and feel different. Same movement after every round though, of course, and then the finisher is going to be a 30-second all-out row. For the weight floor, 3 rounds, or excuse me, 3 parts, 2 rounds each part. The good news here is only 2 movements per section. The stable part, step down toe tap, strap lat pull down, 2 rounds. And then step out deadlift, Arnold press, 3 rounds for part 2, strength. And then they'll repeat the circuit for the power, 2 movements, skier swing, speed skater with power. And they'll repeat those 2 movements. If people don't want to be stuck on power for a very long time, definitely take their time on the first 2 portions. Finisher is going to be their choice of either skier swing or speed skater with power. And that's going to be the 3G for that Saturday, August 9th, Sunday, August 24th. Coach it down.